Hello and welcome to another episode of Landon's White T-shirt headphone art vlogs, and this time we'll be talking about my own personal adventure to the Chicago Cultural Center. And when I was there, they had a contemporary exhibit, and they also had a Afrocentrism exhibit. Yeah, surprisingly, I think most of it was actually African American art, and in addition to that, they had they had a surprising amount of large-scale art. While I was there in the contemporary section, they had a lot of abstract art that I was surprised to see here. A lot of contemporary abstract, to be specific, but they had a piece called the hashtag Self Project. Now, this piece was interesting to me because the whole piece, it was like mirrors with words on them, and the words were all supposed to be like not supposed to be uplifting words. I was about to say encouraging, but that wasn't really what it looked like. They went from left to right. It said real, and it said I worked hard for this. If they only knew, I can do better than this. And then on the right it said me too, this isn't enough, help. And then the ones on the far right said this is it, it's okay to cry, and then problem solution. Now I think this is very interesting because I think if I'm correct, that this is a piece to have for probably depression or suicide prevention. I'm not 100%, but because of just like the progression of the words look like that they're going that like they get progressively worse. It sounds like inner dialogue that someone might have, and within that inner dialogue you see words like help and this is it. Because this is it, unfortunately, in this context, does not seem like it carries a positive connotation. It seems like it is a negative connotation. It says it's okay to cry, and it says problem solution. Now, I think this is a very interesting piece, obviously, to encourage people to seek help if you are feeling a certain way about yourself. Okay. So yeah, and the point of the mirror is to simulate what people do nowadays, which is a selfie. So when you stand in the mirror, it's as if you are in the mirror, as if those words are with you at the same time. And in the little description that I said, are we portraying our true self, or is this just a public facade? Which I think is a very interesting thing to ask the reader, because you don't really know, like unless you know someone, you don't know who is being real, who is showing you like their their genuine self and being sincere, or someone who is putting on a facade, whether that facade be to be likable or to seem like you are happy. Like that facade could be literally anything. I thought that was a very interesting piece, and I enjoyed it very, very much at the place at the gallery. Up on one of the higher levels of the building, they had right before you would get to the murals, they have this big sculpture. I think it's about maybe 6 to maybe 5 and 6 inches tall. It's pretty tall, and it's big words that I say make big plans, which is kind of funny because they're made fairly large and it says make big plans, but this art is kind of motivational, kind of inspirational. It's supposed to make you, just think about what you have planned for the future, whether that be short term or long term. I thought this piece was very interesting. In the contemporary portion of the exhibit, I was surprised to see what I had saw here was very, very abstract. But in addition to this abstraction, I can kind of get a feel of the title of the piece being shown in it. The first one I saw was called Clouds, and it seemed like you could see this cloud, but it was also in front of the cloud or beneath. It was like this. It was like this body, and it seems to have a face. I can't fully depict what I'm looking at here. It's kind of difficult for me to fully understand the artist's intention here, but I can't tell if it's supposed to be like chaos or something in the realm of chaos or just chaotic. I'm not 100% sure here, but you can kind of see like yellow in there. I'm not sure if that's like lightning within the cloud. I have no idea. In another piece, it was called Aftermath, and it kind of followed the same structure, except this one's spacing. There was a lot of open space, and the less of the space was taken up by the actual drawing. That was of, it seemed like it was industrial, but there's a lot of red here, and I'm not sure if this red's supposed to significant like violence or like pain. I mean, when I see red, the first thing that comes to mind, if in this deep of a red is blood. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, this is called Aftermath. This may be after like a war or such. But once again, it's a little bit difficult for me to depict what this author had in mind. I may have just said author, if so I meant artist. I was also surprised by the amount of space that was dedicated to the mural that they had up here, and it was apparently this large wall in Chicago that was just painted. It was created, and they dedicated this entire like fairly large room to this entire mural, and I was really impressed with the size of it. I'm assuming this is a recreation of something that was actually out in the city that you could go see. So they had a lot of different depictions of it. They even had an area where you could color. I'm assuming it was something similar to the mural or something based off of it. But they had a lot of different depictions of this, from photographs to how it looked when it was actually in the city, to this recreation that they've put in this room. Another portion of the cultural cinema had this interesting indoor, like sort of like it's hard to describe, but it was like not like a jungle gym, but it was like ladders and pathways created in the center, and it made it look like a jungle that had like different ways to get to each portion of the building from using ladders and walkways and such in like the center void of the building. They themselves described it as a void, and they filled it with these inaccessible ladders and pathways and stairs, and I was surprised to see them out there. I didn't know if it was possible to get out there. I mean, it didn't look safe at all, but they themselves called it a void, and I was surprised on why they called it that. But it said in the courtyard there's inaccessible space, even though it is visible from all sides of the building. The secludedness enhances the perception of the courtyard as a void in the middle of the building. I think that's very interesting how they went ahead and created this. Maybe because they just wanted to fill the space, but I have no idea. I'm assuming there's some deeper meaning to this, as like have a place that like you can go, but simultaneously you can't. Like it's possible to walk those paths, but you cannot access them yourself. One of the things that I thought was very interesting is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, because it was just very, very interesting to me. It seemed like it was kind of out of place, but it was interesting. There was a song list that was created called the Chicago Mix by Vince Lawrence, and it's just a list of songs that he probably believes are like iconic songs for Chicago. I plan on maybe recreating this mix and listening to it myself, because there are some songs in here that I already recognize, that I already enjoy, so I'm sure that there's some good stuff on here. I'll show a picture of the list of the songs, but thank you for watching, and till next time.